I just think that Black Lives Matter, and I think we need to hold our police officers accountable for when they do bad things, especially when they kill unarmed black men. I think that it's important that we as a society take a look at the systems of oppression and racism that they have. Well, if that isn't the most stupid thing that I have ever heard, you must be some new kind of stupid. Haven't you ever heard of black on black crime? Just look at Chicago last weekend. Look at all those murders. They're just out there murdering each other. Black on black crime, huh? Why isn't anyone talking about that? Don't their Black Lives Matter? What about black on black crime? Come on, why aren't people talking about this? Have you ever found yourself in a conversation like this? Welcome back to my Thoughtful Thursdays video channel, where we talk about topics that are important both inside and outside the church. Now, unfortunately, when it comes to race and ethnicity, right within the church, there are ideals of white supremacy that need to be dealt with. They need to be rooted out, addressed, and then left behind as the church moves forward. Jesus and white supremacy have nothing in common. Thank you so much for watching this channel, and please subscribe and turn on your notifications below if you'd like to see more videos like this in the future. What about black on black crime? This is an oft-posed question by people today, mainly people who look and talk like I do, meaning people who are white and speak English. First off, this is known as a whataboutism. It's a cheap tactic in debate or a conversation to avoid the topic at hand. Instead of actually addressing the thing that they are talking about, well, what about this thing that has nothing to do with the topic that we are talking about? Why isn't anyone talking about this thing? For the love of God, clutch my pearls. It's hilarious when you know and you understand the rules of debate and interacting with others. It's an attempt to get the conversation away from the topic at hand. It's meant to shift the focus, to devalue the stance. And it's a cheap shot, and it's not helpful. When it comes to racism, white people are particularly crafty about their whataboutisms because we don't like to think about the horrible things that we've done, or that our ancestors have done, or that Christianity has done through the church in the name of Jesus in the past. It's just like if you're critical of something within the church, something that we need to do better, something that we need to change to move forward in the future, you will instantly be hit with the knee-jerk reaction, whataboutism of, but what about the Muslims? Or, but what about the atheists? Just look what they're doing. Why isn't anyone talking about this thing? No, that's a tactic of avoidance. We are talking about the church right now, not Muslims. We are talking about followers of Jesus right now, not atheists. Black on black crimes is not a real thing. It's a whataboutism. It is a cheap shot, a debate tactic to avoid actually pressing into the hard thing. And it basically states, I don't want to talk about the hard things that people of my skin color are doing. So to avoid that, well, what about this? Black people kill black people all the time. Why isn't anyone talking about that? Bam, check and mate. Oh, geez. First off, it is lazy. Instead of actually engaging in the topic at hand, instead of doing the hard work because it goes against my paradigm, I'm just gonna avoid it. It's so lazy, and it's also lazy because it isn't true on a couple of different fronts. For one, it's an opinion. Plato famously said opinion is really the lowest form of human knowledge. It requires no accountability, no understanding. The highest form of knowledge is empathy, for it requires us to suspend our egos and live in another's world. There is no empathy in this type of knee-jerk reaction. People are trying to teach us, and instead of trying to seek understanding about the hurt and pain that has gone on for centuries, we choose instead to change the subject because it makes us feel uncomfortable. It's also lazy because it isn't even true. Well, how come no one's talking about that, huh? It's a gotcha statement. People are talking about this topic. Newsflash, you aren't the first person that's heard about violence that plagues large cities like Chicago. Lots of people are talking about it, and they have been for a very long time. Entire communities of people are talking about it. Take, for example, a family who has lost a loved one who is murdered in Chicago by another person. They want swift action brought against the person who perpetrated the crime. They long for that type of justice to be enacted, for people to be held accountable for their actions. They want to see that. There are a couple of pretty strong white supremacy vibes that come out of this entire black on black crime idea. One, it sounds like people are saying that black people don't care about crime, and that's extremely naive, racist, and wrong. Once again, this goes back to that white culture is in some way a better culture, that it's more the normal culture. And that's a very dangerous idea. On this channel, we denounce all forms of white supremacy. Do you think that the entire black community who lives in these neighborhoods are in some way complicit and that they aren't working extremely hard to help curb the crime? There are lots of groups that are actively doing this very thing. People are talking about it. People are doing things about it. Here's a few groups, for instance. Build Chicago is a group dedicated to giving young students the tools that they need to succeed in life and become leaders in society, how to avoid the temptation and lures of joining gangs. There's Chicago Survivors, which is a group of passionate people who are dedicated to helping families deal with loss after a tragedy. They also provide legal and mental resources to help a community heal. There's, of course, Illinois Council Against Handgun Violence, whose sole purpose is to reduce gun violence within the city. Then there's Chicago Area Project, a group that offers services to their communities, including programs in preparation for college and planning out their careers, a delinquency prevention program, cultural classes, legal help, and after-school programs. They promote growth and healing in neighborhoods across Chicago by building and investing in communities. They were founded back in the 1930s. They've been doing this a long time. There's Cure Violence, which is a group that's created to help treat violence as a health issue, working to stop it the same way that we would through the 3 methods to stop different disease outbreaks, mainly interrupting transmission of violence, directly treating high-risk individuals, and changing the social norms. Saying why isn't anyone talking about black on black crime is ignorant. People are talking about the violence in Chicago, and they have been for a very long time. Time for you to catch up on the conversation that's been going on. Now, I've hinted before that black on black crimes don't really exist. Some people might be thinking, well, yeah, but obviously black people commit crimes against other black people. Of course they do. I don't think anyone was arguing against that. However, it isn't a thing, and it is racist to bring it up, and here's why. Every ethnic group commits a high percentage of crimes against people within their own ethnicity. White people predominantly kill white people. Black people predominantly kill black people. However, because of how the narrative is set up in society, with white people being in power, with their culture being the dominant culture, nobody ever calls it white on white crime. It's just a crime. However, when a black person kills another black person, it is black on black crime. Friends, this is a dangerous and racist idea based on the ideals of white supremacy. And it's time to jettison this type of thinking. White people kill white people at roughly the same percentage as black people kill black people. When we talk about black on black crime, it makes it sound as if black people and their culture are by nature more violent than white culture. The only thing that black on black crime is a way to avoid a difficult conversation. It isn't anything else. We must do better, friends. Join me next week as we take a look at the war on drugs and law and order. You won't want to miss it. See you back next Thursday, same time, same place.